Guglieltino, I'm your host. We're going to be having an interesting program tonight. We got a couple of people running for the city council. I'll never remember. I always forget that. I was on the common council years ago, so it's been the city council for 10 years. It still comes out that way. So anyway, with me tonight is Frank Salvatore and Roberto Alves, and they've been going door to door, doing some interesting things. They've got some interesting views on things, and so without further ado, we'll get into a personal history on why they're doing this. So welcome to the show.
John, thank you for having us.
Okay.
John, thank you.
Welcome. Start with you, Frank. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in Danbury, a little bit about your family, and like I said, why are you doing this?
So a little bit about myself. I'm
Right.
Born and raised here in Danbury, born up at Danbury Hospital to my parents, Frank Sr. and Carol Cola Salvatore. I guess if you look at it, on my father's side, I'm a second generation Italian American. And on my mom's side, my 3 out of 4 of my great grandparents came over from Italy. So proudly have gone through the school system here in Danbury up to about 8th grade, and then I transferred over to Immaculate High School where I graduated in 1984. And then went on to University of Hartford and graduated there in 1988. But before graduating, met my wife, Cheryl Sylphan Salvatore. And it's been history ever since. I have a son, and he's now married. He's the pride and joy of our family. And the funny thing is, I'm doing this because I've been a part of serving the community now for over 35 years. I've been a volunteer firefighter at Waterwitch Hose Company down on Locust Avenue since the first month after I was eligible in 1987 to join. And service is in my family's blood. As you know, my family, very JC women, PTO, PT. Back then, I think it was PTA.
Right.
When my parents were involved. So they were very involved, and I always blame it on my parents because
community service.
The community service is ingrained in
you got to give back.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing well, you got to give back.
Yep. Yeah. And my brother and sister have learned that from an early stage. So at this time in my life, I decided it was time to get into politics and serve the community in another way. So that's where I am today.
Okay. Roberto.
So,
aside from being in every picture around town here, it seems like all the political, you're very active. You're all over.
always moving.
Always moving and always at a different event.
Always somewhere, either through work or through politics or with my family, always somewhere.
Yeah, so how long you been in Danbury?
Been in Danbury since I was 5 years old. My parents came from, we came from Rio, and I love it here. My wife and I met my wife in high school. We started dating in high school, and we decided to set our roots down here. We looked to move for a while, and then she was pregnant. We decided we had to make the plans. Like, where do we want to raise our kids? Obviously, it's nice to stay next to family. You don't have to pay for daycare at first. It helps. But really, what kept us here was Danbury's diversity, which I think is one of its biggest strengths. We are a very diverse community. We have all types of restaurants, and that culture, what the kids are going to learn growing up through the Danbury public school systems, like my wife and I did, you can't get in many places in this country.
You can't pay for that anywhere.
So we made that decision to stay. When you have friends our age who are going to other towns because they're worried about the school systems here, and you see them, right? We see it every day. We're at the doors, we're talking to people. They're like, what about our schools? Our roads are bad, our schools are bad. What are you going to do for us to address that? And I chose to stay, and if I chose to stay, my wife and I, we looked at each other and we said, then we got to do something. We got to be part of the change that's needed in this town to lead that and drive the investments in our schools and our infrastructure. So that's one of the many reasons. There wasn't just one. There's the national side of things going on that, as being somebody who grew up as an immigrant in town, and you hear the rhetoric that was going on, and when the previous president stepped off, he had that speech where he goes, if you don't like what's going on, grab a clipboard, do something. I took that to heart. That was one of the reasons. I remember that like yesterday.
That's why you always go around with a clipboard.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I have kids. I'm, and making sure their schools are good.
Right.
I drive in these roads. I work in Danbury. I live in Danbury. We own a home in Danbury. I'm investing in this community.
Yeah, how do you like those roads?
I'm on West Reading Road, and I don't know if
the
current administration knows that's still Danbury. So.
Right. Well, Very good. What do you think the biggest issues are? Again, we'll start with Frank, then we'll go Roberto. The biggest issues are, as you've been going door to door, because you've already been going door to door,
Yeah.
and you've probably met a number of people out there. Is there anything that's more prominent, maybe the top two issues, or are there numerous things?
He said the magic word just a second ago, roads.
Roads. Okay.
Almost every door we knock on, somebody says it's the roads. They've called 311, they've spoken to the mayor, and nothing seems to get done. We have 242 miles of roads here in Danbury, and I think there was a quote a few weeks ago, the mayor or even the Common Council president said, well, they're going to do 30
City
miles
Council.
worth of work, City Council. You know what, the older guys are going to say Common Council because we've been around for a long time. He won't make that mistake. But,
Yeah.
they said they're going to do 30 miles worth of roads. That's 12% of the roads, and it's an election year. Why now? The people
Well,
are
you
like,
said it's an election year. That's
Yeah,
why now. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
yeah, so, people are I'm talking to a gentleman on Summer Street. He goes, look at the end of my driveway. I've been pointing that out to the mayor. He says, you guys, if you get into office, you guys have to prioritize the roads. You have to have some plan. And that's a nice thing running with Chris Sotero, our mayoral candidate. He's got plans, and the roads are one of the things
Number
that
one.
people are talking to us
Right.
about.
Yeah.
So,
And is there a secondary issue? Education, maybe?
well, yeah, education. The younger families that we talk to are talking about education. Danbury's dead last in per pupil spending. I think the state average is about $16,000 per pupil, and we're spending $12,000 per pupil. And I've asked my friends on the Board of Ed, what is the median, what we should be spending? Is there doesn't seem to be a formula, but the one thing that is it's glaringly apparent to me is the numbers of enrollment in the state of Connecticut school system is going down while Danbury's going up. And our school funding it's pretty much labile.
We still have people coming here.
Yeah.
A significant number of people are still moving in.
Yeah, and they want to put 50 more condos out on Mill Plain Road.
Yeah.
So,
you just can't use the same facilities.
no, you've got to have a plan. You got to have these developers start paying into the infrastructure.
And we also have zoning issues. Also, too many things were developed on the west side, and nothing was done with the downtown. That's what I hear. And just talking, and I'm not even running for anything.
Well,
And
it's
I'm
simple,
just-
right? We ask those we talk to all the time. Are your roads better now, or are they better 18 years ago? Is downtown better now? Is downtown better 18 years ago? Right, Frank?
Yeah.
And everybody, you know what? You're right. It's it's just time for new leadership. It's time for change, and we're really excited to be on the ticket with Chris Sotero.
Yeah.
I think we have a strong candidate, one of the strongest candidates since he ran.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you see it, the articles are there, the campaign is raising a ton of money, we're out there, we're talking to voters, and we're hearing this firsthand.
So roads,
These roads and
so
these
you're hearing the
schools
same
need
thing?
investment. Yeah.
Roads and education.
Absolutely.
transportation.
Transportation, infrastructure,
Yeah.
plan. Let's manage this growth accordingly. Let's not
Yeah, because
just.
they never did the traffic study either.
Well,
Right.
I don't remember.
They're
You're on the city
talking-
council, John,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, that was-
the last comprehensive traffic study in Danbury was done in, was it Gene's administration or before?
2001, I believe. Something like
It's
that.
before this mayor got
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And
So it's time to take a comprehensive look at the roads, see where there's efficiencies that can be created. Let's tackle this with the right approach. Let's not worry about the next job. Let's fix what's going on. Let's make this community great. I know there are tons of families moving in. How many of these families that we're meeting actually live and work in Danbury? What an anomaly, right? People
Yeah.
who live and work in Danbury. My wife and I, at our age, there's
Right.
most of our peers do not live and work in Danbury. They either live in Danbury commuting out, or they live in Danbury commuting in.
Yep.
Why can't this be a place where people live and work here like it used to be?
Yeah.
and
That's
can
true.
get in and out. I mean, for 21 years, I worked up at Danbury Hospital. I had a 3.5-minute commute between my home and Danbury Hospital. And in 2009, I decided to take an opportunity outside of the city and the state. I'm working over in New York State. And the one thing I hear from people is the same complaint I have. And I know I-84 is a state issue, but it pushes cars onto the city streets. And there's times during the middle to the end of each week and over the weekend, we're getting through the one end of town to the other, going through the city is no better than staying up on 84 in traffic. As a matter of fact, sometimes I don't even come home all the way on 84. I get off in New York State and come in through New Fairfield,
right,
which is going to just, do more to other roads in the city that are not being, dealt with.
You take the shortcuts, from the fire department.
Well, no, those of us that travel, you have
Right.
Waze on in your
Right.
car, and Waze tells you ways to go that may not be roads that are really used to having that much traffic on
Like
it.
West Reading Road, the
West
cut
Reading
through
Road,
is
yeah.
going
Yeah.
on, and it's a
Yeah.
frustration. And the neighborhood has reached out to the administration, to the police department to
Yeah, we got a lot
can
of
we get
traffic
speeding
coming
done?
through.
I have several choke points on that road in the neighborhood where it's a no-through truck road, but lo and behold, trucks are always coming through. Why?
Yep.
We have an understaffed police department. We have a table of organization that states we should have over 150 police officers, but we're somewhere under 135. The traffic department is running like a paper-thin budget, perhaps. Well, we need more cops out there. We need them doing the things that matter to the community, like speeding, which is a big problem in almost every ward. But I'm talking specifically where I live in the 5th ward,
Right.
where there's an issue there where we just want the police to police the community.
It's interesting. I had someone from the 7th Ward was saying they can't get the police out there, but they're along the road to Richfield, and they're running traffic
Listen,
stops
our
there.
police officers are doing a great job. I think we just need to supplement what they're doing.
But I'm
we
saying
we
is that
have
they've only got, like-
mandatory overtime.
Right, that's
and
true.
how much can somebody really do? I mean, officers are doing a great job with the hours they have to put in.
Right.
Let's give them the resources they need to do an even better job. Let's give them the bodies they need. Let's make it easier to hire police officers who represent our community so they can be out in our neighborhood doing the little things, their quality of life. My kids do not go out in my front yard. I have a big front yard because I'm afraid of what might happen there
Yeah, if you
on
hire
a small little country road.
if you hire 15 more police, that's 5 per shift.
Yeah.
And that's what it boils down to.
And that's enough to do traffic throughout the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this isn't an indictment of the men and women who serve us in blue, but again, they're doing, you said mandatory overtime. I mean, I have people who work in respiratory therapy that do overtime, and you know what? It's a really nice paycheck when you get it, but when you do it time after time, it takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your mind. And these are the people that have to be tip-top shape every minute of when they're out there. So we really have to help our city people who serve the city, and it's not just the police department, the fire department as well.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's give them the resources they need. Let's not cut from them. Let's not outsource dispatch. Let's not. Let's help them. Let's not hinder their job. So what can we do to help them so they can help us in the community?
Now, how do you feel about downtown? There's been some comments that nothing's really been done with the downtown since at the time of Gene Iroquois, or maybe his first term he did something, meaning Boughton, but there hasn't been much done downtown. It's like an ignored area.
It's you know what? They may have done things to beautify downtown, but in the end, it's not a destination. When I was growing up, you used to go downtown to go to Max Men's store, the shoe
Rocanos
store,
or whatever.
Rocanos.
You had
You used to go down to get stuff, and
Yeah.
you had a vibrant Main Street that you could do business on, and people can grow business and live down there, and it just hasn't come along that way. And I know they tried with the dining and the dining district down there in
Entertainment,
the
yeah.
entertainment district, but that seems to really have shuffled from Main Street out to the west side off of Mill Plain Road, which getting out there for a person that doesn't have transportation isn't always as easy. So downtown, although it looks beautiful, it's not a destination. You're going to go someplace, you're going to go to the mall, and don't get me started on the mall because I missed the Danbury Fair.
Yeah.
But as my family will tell you, I'm not a mall person. But again, it's taken the center of commerce from downtown and shifted it somewhere else. So.
Yeah, the only thing the West Side doesn't have is its own police station. Otherwise, got everything else out there.
It probably should, and,
Yeah.
and actually the fire department finally got engine 26 out there, but
Right.
I'm sure if you talk to the chief and you talk to anybody that there's still, need for more services out in that area for the responses for the paid and even the volunteers that are out there.
Right. So any other particular issues, Roberto, that you can think of that
With the voters?
As you're going door to door, what do you hear the most?
I-
The sports. I
Well,
hear.
I think another resounding, thing we hear every day. It's just time for change. 18 years is enough. We need new vision, and it all ropes into what we've been saying and what Chris has been saying. We need a leader who's who wants this job, who's here for the people. because
Who's
he
not
wants to
running
be
for
here.
governor every 4 years?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying, yeah, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. What Chris has invested, he's put his business downtown, he's got the business acclimats, he's got the public service acclimats, and he's ready to roll up his sleeves, personally lobby restaurant owners to see what it would take to get them to invest downtown, to share the vision he has. We have a beautiful downtown architecturally.
Yeah.
Let's get restaurants down there. Let's get that foot traffic back, but let's get a leadership team that's going to drive that and not ignore it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, ask yourselves, is the downtown better now or was it better 18 years ago? To me, it's easy. 18 years ago,
Right.
right? So you've had
And-
18 years to try to fix that. So do you really need 2 more? You couldn't do it in 18?
Another complaint is the sports facilities. That they seem to be run down unless there are certain spots. Everything else is not being utilized and hasn't been. Like basketball courts and things like on Westfield Avenue areas.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
tell
That's
it's
been a passion
long-
of mine. I've been trying to get the city to invest and put up a couple more basketball courts now for the kids to have where they can access, you said, those without transportation. We have a beautiful area in Rogers Park that has the places to hold basketball courts, and why we would put them there just baffles me. I've been told that the money's in the budget now for years. I've been told, hey, we have the money for your basketball courts, they're coming. This is years ago.
Yeah.
The town is hungry for it. I laughed once when somebody says, you already have one, that's over on Beaver Street. And I mean, how often are those
Yeah.
hoops down? It's like, let's get basketball courts where everybody else can get to. Rogers Park is a great area for it. And yes, it costs a little bit of money to put up a basketball court, but kids need activities. Kids need something to do when they get out of school, something to do over the summer weeks.
Otherwise, they get
into
into shenanigans, and we have more problems.
Let's bring it in. We
Yeah.
have softball fields. They invest a ton of money in the tennis courts.
Yeah.
Right? Why not a basketball court?
Right.
Why are we the only town that doesn't have nice basketball courts in the area?
Yeah.
And something simple like that, yes, our facilities, I mean, it's just been cut. But
Yeah.
it's also responsible to not spend money sometimes, right? If your roof is leaking, you don't put a bucket to catch the water so it doesn't mess up the floor and not fix the roof. This is like the Band-Aid administration. Like, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
around, put Band-Aids on potholes, take a picture of it and say, here we go, here's the last 18 years.
Yeah. And it's funny, we were up in the Clapham Ridge area the other day, actually it was yesterday, and one woman stopped to talk to us, and she was like, well, you need to tell Chris Sotero, and Chris, I'm telling you this now, when he gets in, he needs to do work on Rogers Park. The baseball fields need to be fixed. Come to find out, I guess her sons are big into baseball here in Danbury, and somehow affiliated with the Westerners as well. And they talk about how the fields are not that great. And you just said, we got to get the kids out there. There's too much of this at home, and of course my wife's probably laughing at that because she'll
Yeah,
say
they're
I do that.
playing with their phones.
You need to socialize, and we've gotten into this lifestyle of let's send a text rather than talk to somebody or call somebody. Well, same thing with sports. Sports
you're
is a
supposed-
way to get involved. I mean,
Right.
Mom and Dad put me in, and don't look for this picture, but put me in a basketball uniform at Haystown School and made me play basketball because it was a way to be with other kids and to be active. And when I was in high school, I played football, and it was a way to be with other people and get knocked around a bit. And of course, I ended my career with a knee injury, and every good football player can say that. But it's time. It's time to make those infrastructural changes. And it's not just the parks.
And you have to have a change at the leadership in order to get this
We need new vision.
things done.
We need
So
new
again, I'm just
vision.
reiterating what Chris has been saying and driving this, because from the top to the bottom of the ticket, we have a great ticket. Johnny, you've been involved for a while now. You see it. We have things done earlier than they've ever been done before. You have great candidates across the board from all parts of our diverse community,
Right.
all segments of the population. It's an exciting time to run. It's exciting to be on the
And
board.
there's new ideas from each one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you have, you bring in
we-
those wards. People know what's going on in their neighborhoods. If you ask Frank what's going on by where he lives in the 3rd ward, even though we're running citywide, we've got our ears to the ground. We know what's going on.
Right.
In my neighborhood, one thing that's always of concern we're worried about is not only is that people are speeding through these winding roads, there's always the rumors and the talks that the Bethel Corporate Park wants to connect to the Danbury roads, and the quality of life in that part of town would just exponentially go down.
Right.
People, I wouldn't be surprised if most people look to sell their houses if that happened. And you bet the community is going to get together if that's something that they're going to try, and we get wind that the city's going to work with corporations on. We don't need a cut-through road there. Let's have our city council represent us. Let's have those of us who are aware of what's going on citywide. In the 4th ward, we know it's the transfer station. In the 3rd ward, it's usually environmental with the lakes, and we have great partners in the state with Dave Arconti and mine and Raheb, Holly Brennan, Ken Gucker, and now Julie Kushner at the State Senate, Bob Godfrey, who has just been a leader there now for 30 years. And wouldn't it be nice to have local administration who
That can
happen
talk
to
to
mirror
them.
the same party, who has relationship with them on a first name basis, has a cup of coffee, who can personally lobby them to get help from Hartford, and that's what
Yeah.
we're going to bring to the table.
We may have those basketball courts.
Yeah, a lot of things would get done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time for Danbury to elect a representative democracy. For too long, it's been 14-7, 15-6.
Yeah, let's cover that.
Republican
Let's cover that. There's 21 council people, and in effect, if you have 14, and you got, let's say, Mark Boughton's the Republican mayor, he's got 14 people, he's got a lock on whatever he wants.
It's a rubber stamp.
Rubber
Because he
stamp.
get two-thirds vote, and whatever he wants, we're going to sit on this. We're going to sit on that. It's too much money for this or that. Whatever he wants,
Well, we joke, right?
he's
When
in
things,
control.
when things go to the council, it's already voted on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
they've
going to show up
already-
if it's
they've
not
already
going to get.
decided.
You sat there, and we can go and speak publicly for basketball courts or for increased funding in our schools that are 169 out of 169 in per pupil spending, dead last in the state. We need change, and it's just he wants to parade and say, hey, but we've lowered your mill rate, and our assessments went up, and you can't find the $2-3 million the school needs. We hear that they're having a hard time just keeping the lights on every month. I mean, I can't wait to dive into those numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just think.
It's just time, and this is probably going to be said. It's just political naivete. I mean, at 53 years old, I'm in my 2nd run for office.
But you're running for council.
I'm running for
First time.
council at large for
Yeah.
this time, and the reason why I'm doing it is because I understand that council at large represents the whole city. And the last thing I know, the whole city isn't Democrat, Republican, or Independent. They're citizens of Danbury, and if you elect me and Roberto on November 5th. The thought is that we have one at large, and we have to represent everybody. So rubber stamping the
That's not
person
very-
in the
it's-
middle of the dais' platform is not always the best thing. I mean, I watch these events where somebody asks a question and this is going to get done, that's going to get done, and they're asking the question from the same party, and they kind of get shot down. Can we get a list of the roads that are going to be paved?
Yeah.
I looked in the.
I hear that there's something going to get done, and it's election year. We're going to be paving roads. So when's that going to start? And it's interesting that
Well, it's
August is
interesting
here.
that Chris Otero and his campaign came
Yeah.
right out of the gate
Yeah.
talking about roads and infrastructures and schools, and all of a sudden you see things being done on the roads, plans for infrastructure, and throwing some money at schools that
Find
should have been
money,
done 2 years ago with the playground.
Yep.
So I think they're cognizant of this is real. The Democratic Party has got a real slate and a real challenger.
and you're going door to
and we're
door.
going door to door, and we are going
talking to
to
everybody.
outwork everybody. Nobody's going to work harder than us.
Yep.
You saw it 2 years ago with the group, Frank,
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
Farley, Joe, Will Love, Greg Sabo, and we had a great time. And obviously the
And you met
results
a lot
weren't
of
what we
people,
wanted.
and-
We met a lot of people, and we built that foundation.
Yep.
And now the party is united. We're working together, and we're ready to win.
Absolutely.
And we hope that the community is aware, and the community, from what we see, is ready for change.
All right, so we don't go all the way to the end because we've got a few minutes left. at this point in time, do you have a telephone number and/or an email that you can give the people out there if they want to contact either one of you directly? Starting with you, Frank.
Well, my email address is Frank Jr. for Danbury, and it's Frank Jr. FOR Danbury @gmail.com. Or you can call me at 203-948-4678.
Can you repeat that one more time?
203-948-4678. Or you can find me on Facebook at Frank Jr. for Danbury or Twitter at FSE7RRT.
All right, you know your stuff.
I got my stuff.
Roberto.
Frank, you did good. Well, the campaign's email is votealves2019. That's votealves, ALVES, 2019 @gmail.com. It's easy. We're always checking our emails. On social media, it's at votealves2019. Try to keep it simple. And the phone number is 203-731-1223. That's my personal number, and I welcome the calls and the conversations. We're here to represent the city and look forward to getting the opportunity to do so. Frank, November 5th is right around the corner.
5th, yeah.
85 days till election time, and we're ready to lead and drive the change this community needs and is hungry for. Let's get these roads fixed. Let's invest in our schools, because it's not just about the parents. If the schools are better, your properties, those are already retirement. Your property values go up. Businesses want to invest.
If you
Let's
got
get some serious investment in Danbury.
If you got a good school system, your property values actually go up. And a lot of people don't know that. They're just thinking, oh, it's so expensive, you know.
Yeah, no.
But otherwise, it just keeps going down, you know.
Oh, we're here to work on that. Change
Yeah.
inside. Let's use Chris's line. Change is
Change
here,
here,
changes
changes
now.
Yes,
November
very
5th.
good. And Frank, do you have like 30 seconds of something that he already took his 30 seconds.
Took us 30 seconds.
Be careful, because I'll take yours too.
Just, you are not going to find a team that's going to work harder than this Danbury Democratic team. Roberto and I have become very good friends. We're in the sophomore class, like I said,
Right.
and between Farley Santos and Joe Britton, we're the sophomores, and we love the cohesion of this team this year, and we have a great top of the ticket. And with us working hard as well, I think that Danbury will win if they go with us this year.
All right, well, I want to thank you for coming on
you.
the show.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. I want to thank the viewers for tuning in to the Community Forum. Tune in next week, same time, same station. We'll have another interesting program. Good night for now. We'll see you then.